Naughty demon.
And on these, if there's a catalog, it's not easy to come by. But many of these are early examples of photo manipulation. They had surreal, real photo postcards, in which they would attempt to trick people with the illusion of photography. As we continued to look through these old postcards,
Babies, babies, babies. Now instead of crumpets, it's a bunch of roaches, man.
a very strange and unsettling trend
Babies all over these postcards, man.
started to become apparent. It began with just simple baby postcards. At first thought, seems like any ordinary postcard. But as with the Same Sky postcard mystery, where the author began to see a trend of a variety of postcards, well, there's a category of postcards that deserves its own name and label, but it doesn't seem very well known, as there are no websites or videos explaining this topic. We shall call it the mystery of the repopulation postcards.
Incubator,
There are
baby.
other names for this style, such as baby postcards. By the end of this video, you'll be shocked at how many of these there are. We're talking in the thousands. We found one reference to what these cards were in a book on Amazon named Babylon, Surreal Babies, in which the author describes these same
Babylon. I'm out of here, boss. I'm done, man. This is what we up against, and this is why I'm taking a little detour to talk about it. And some of my cons let me know. I'm gonna get your comments right now that you're glad that I'm talking about it, man, because this is something that's on your mind, Bo. If they're not the European, who the hell are they? If the bones in Europe, what you digging about the ground, are melanated, who are you, right? If you're not the real Costa Rican, Honduras, you know what I'm saying, Carib, you know what I'm saying, you're not the real Nicaraguan, you know what I mean, you're not the real Mexican, you're not the real American, European, you're not it, right? You're not him, you're not her. It's time to stop hiding and deal with it if you want to overcome, or you can fall to the wayside in your illusions. But if the people of your land are supposed to be swarthy, and now you got a whole race of people who are claiming the same land that are not, whether we're talking Japan or China, Korea or the Philippines, down to Mexico, up to America, all through Central America, Russia, stop it, man. Everything I just named are swarthy, and there's no way to run or hide about it. I'm not just tripping to make somebody feel bad. I'm talking about cloning and incubator babies. We're talking about natural by law. Now, if you're not that and you want to graft into the tree, all good, but know that you're not the tree or the root, my nigga. Not even the fruit. You're the grafting. You're not even the fruit. So don't boast yourself above the root and the fruit if you want to graft into the natural by law. Everywhere we go, you can't come. You can't go. Everything we feel, you can't feel. You're going to have to accept that if you want to keep it real with a noggin. But if you want to keep acting like you me and you us, then you are in denial. Whether you come from the incubators personally or you're just tied in with it. Or you think that this kingdom of the United States such and such corporation is going to exist forever to cover your tracks. Even the Afro-Mexican got to give their title back. The indigenous, the originals, the first, got to claim who we are. And that's forever. Whether we're talking Israelites, seeds of Moses, whatever, cons of the Prester child. Now we know through our genetics, we can create albino babies, straight hair, wavy hair, all through our genetics, man. But don't think that you, as a Caucasian so-called, is going to create us. You can't create us. I ain't seen two blue-eyed people pop out a nigga naga baby and not have that in there already, you know what I'm saying, bloodline. Not these orphan babies. They don't have the DNA to create us. Stop it. You're talking about dominant DNA and recessive DNA.
Same peculiar 1900s postcards and how they were deeply influential to many famous artists, including Salvador Dali. Yet, the author even admits that little is known of their history. In order to understand why we've labeled them repopulation postcards, a thorough understanding of resets, criteria, orphan trains, incubators, asylums, and oddfellows will be necessary. These cards depict babies being grown.
Whoa.
If a man really hated ads, here's what he would do.
He's going crazy. He said, I'm an incubator, baby. Baby.
Styles within this category. One of the most interesting is the Cabbage Patch babies.
Oh boy.
A variety of themes involving growing babies.
Oh boy. Incubator babies. Oh boy. Oh boy. They ain't got no soul, just a black hole. Where they from? Maybe the North Pole.
Babies
No.
on plants.
I think we know.
Babies
We've
on
seen it
mushrooms.
before. They on that shrooms now, man.
Babies in the water.
Babies. Damn, if this is true, right? They just populating with incubator babies. Now they claiming to be American. I'm American. I'm fighting for my constitutional right. The Constitution. Incubator babies. Drop Nation, come out to play. Shout out to mine, Unveil. Get the drop.
Babies in a nest. Babies in eggs being
Babies.
hatched.
Oh, there's that stork, right?
Then
Hold up.
babies in eggs being hatched.
This was the story, right? Where the babies come from? Oh, some stork drops it off, right? Orphans. Incubator babies, orphan train, same shit.
Then the babies arrive on the train.
Bang. 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 I'm out of here, boss.
There's something eerie about these photos, as if someone's trying to tell us something.
Factuals.
We've also got kids in Cabbage Patches. Does this have anything to do with the Cabbage Patch Kids? So where do babies come from? In the early 1900s, the most common answer given to children would simply be that the stork would bring the babies, or that they were found in a cabbage patch.
Storks, right? So you got all this stuff in Disney, storks. But again, look up the Garbage Pail Kids, right? Garbage Pail Kids. Let's get some images of that for the dismount. Appreciate y'all for surfing away with a con. I'm just popping off, man. It's not insanity. It's just like sometimes, man. Man, come on. Come on, boss. Come on, boss. Sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction, man. Garbage Pail Kids. So it was Cabbage Patch Kids, and there was Garbage Pail Kids. And it's the same shit. And they were always disgusting. This is how they walked around the street, like Seinfeld was saying his parents by themselves, and yada yada, like place to place, like this was them. Garbage pail, like the ones they threw away, right? Chucky dolls, right? There's no difference between this and the Cabbage Patch Kids. Cabbage Patch Kids. It's the same shit. Oh, you said Garbage Pail. I said Come on, man. They playing, man. They playing Cabbage Patch. Come on, boss. Right? You know, you buying these things like you did the incubator babies. Once in a while, they'll throw in a swarthy one just so that you don't just think it's the whites. Come on, boss. Cabbage Patch. The incubator baby. Got some Cabbage Patch Kids, right?
Early 1900s, my dad was an incubator baby in Coney Island. He was on display. They had just invented the incubator. He was.
Takers, the babies weren't premature. They were being artificially gestated. This wasn't just a medical breakthrough. This was unfathomably advanced technology. Artificial wombs, mass baby production. Sounds a whole lot like a new world being repopulated after something big went down.
The Cabbage Patch Kids weren't just dolls, but part of a psychological operation to start a new world with no history. Think about it. Why do you adopt them instead of buying them? Why do they come with official birth certificates? And why did parents in the 1980s lose their minds fighting over them? Now, So, what were they really normalizing? Was it just a clever marketing gimmick, or were they covering their tracks?
Aryan cities found abandoned across the land.
Incubator babies.
They were sent to humongous orphanages, and the people were able to get orphans to work their farms and factories. Free labor was abundant.
Just because you identify with European or Caucasian doesn't mean you're an incubator baby. But they said 50% don't have an internal monologue, boss.
Abundant, and it was needed to rebuild after the last reset. There is loads of evidence showing that the original Cabbage Patch Kids were these orphans which people just simply picked up and took home like fresh produce.
Ooh. Right. Back to mine.
What about the next?
Right? What about these incubator babies? Incubator babies? What about Japan? What about China? What about the Philippines? What about Korea?
Early examples.
What about Mexico?
Or does he just have a soft spot for child labor? There's actually a place you can go in White County, Georgia, where they do live births, and you can look it up on YouTube to see what I'm talking about. The bunny bee character also is a hybrid creature of two animals that both symbolize rebirth and resurrection on a mass scale. As we know, rabbits reproduce in droves, and the bee symbolism makes me think of a hive, or a queen or source where all the offsprings originate from.
And now they say Spain means land of rabbits, right? Oh boy, they talking incubator baby.
It would seem that this is some sort of reference to babies being created in a lab on a mass scale. Why were there so many orphans? Most common answer will be, the baby boom. But this didn't happen until 1946 to 1964. These postcards are from 1890 to 1910.
Uh,
And there's really no explanation for the burst of orphans that we see being brought into the United States, or the amount of orphanages and asylums that exist that no longer seem to be necessary. Could the baby boom narrative be a way to sweep this part of history under the rug? The orphanages were all shut down, and after the 60s, people just stopped having babies and getting married after World War II, according to the narrative.
Time out, but now they got a decline. Now there's a negative birth rate among these whites. Just like it's always been, which is why they're just producing incubator babies like popcorn.
Then there are the incubators of 1900s. It's difficult to keep premature babies alive with modern technology, yet they were doing this back in 1835 in Europe. They turned this into a sideshow, where at the world fairs they would show off these child hatcheries, these incubators of live children. And for some reason, the royals would come and witness these events. So there's this genetic manipulation cloning idea, in which these babies are actually being grown in some sort of pods. Perhaps the symbolism of the Cabbage Patch mirrors that process. Humans do resemble plants in the way that we're connected to a stem in our fetal state, and our whole lives are spent ripening. In the fetal abduction theory, we typically see a nurse-looking woman with either a fishing hook or a fishing net pulling a child out of the water. Perhaps the hook and net represent medical tools and the water amniotic fluid. In either scenario, it would make sense that these babies have to end up in incubators or hatcheries. And it begs the question, how did all these premature babies get here? If women back in, these days were having babies prematurely, why in such large numbers?
Well, because they are proportionally very small. So they, in a sign of superior beings, right? Right? They don't want to darken its people. Why increase these darkies by planting them in America, where we have so fair an opportunity?